Hey everyone, I'm here with the Quarry this time. This is going to be quite possibly one of the easiest lost sectors to run through, especially flawlessly. I have pretty tight quarters in the last area, but the rest of it is pretty easy. This is on my Strand Warlock. I'm using the Swarmer Boots, which you can get from doing the Legendary campaign, and I'm using Wish Ender to help take out the barriers, and then I'm just using a Scout Rifle for the Unstoppable. The setup for this build just kind of focuses on throwing out threadlings and putting a ravel on as much stuff as possible. Other than that, though, there's nothing crazy going on with the build or nothing crazy going on in general. Positioning wise in this one, the beginning is just going to be making sure you stay back and don't get too deep in while you deal with the ads. There's going to be the dogs that spawn in, the one unstoppable, and then just a bunch of random legionaries. There will be a couple scions as well. After the first room, you'll have these three enemies here. You should be able to just very quickly deal with them. And then following that, the next section is going to be the barrier champion. For the barrier, you kind of can just play back again, dodge the missiles, make sure you peek out and hit it whenever it puts up the barrier. That way it doesn't regen any health, and then just deal as much damage as possible. After that room, sometimes those enemies run up a little earlier, but you'll have just the gladiator and the scion. They should die pretty quickly. This last section here is the one you want to be careful at, because that's where you have the two mini bosses. I think there's 3 different waves of them, and then you have the anti-barrier on the ridge. I like to take out the little mini bosses first, just so that way they don't run up on you. And you can kind of just poke down the barrier champion as needed. Having a primary weapon that you can always do the anti-barrier aspect is nice, because then you don't have to worry about the same issue you have with the unstoppable, where you have to like aim down sights or like proc something beforehand. So just deal with the barrier champion as soon as you can, and then you can start burning down the boss a little bit. There's going to be a couple ways of ads. And the nice part here with dealing with the ads and the boss in general is that you have this little corner cave that you slide through if you need to get a little bit of a reprieve and get your health back. You do want to be a little careful, because like when the unstoppable's out, you'll have times where he'll push up on you and he'll be throwing out fire into that hole. So you just want to be mindful about that. But other than that, you have that little wall crevice to dip back into whenever you need a reprieve and to get your health back. There's no great weapon to burn down this boss, just because he stands back, has shield regenerates very quickly if you stop dealing damage to him. And then after you get into about that first third, that's when you'll have the next enemy spawn in. And again, as with all the champions, you just kind of want to deal with them as soon as possible. And then particularly for this case, you want to deal with it because the boss also has those little mini bosses that are back there. Actually, these might just be regular legionnaires. Alright, now you just have to deal with the extra ads there. This is the part I like about the Swarmer Boots, because it lets you put out damage while just shooting a tangle or throwing it and taking advantage of those for extra damage. So in this next section here, you'll have the 2 more mini bosses that spawn in, and that's the last wave of ads really. So you'll just deal with these as quickly as possible. Sometimes if you don't deal with them, or if you're positioned weird, they'll run up onto the ridge and all 3 of them will stand up there, but it's fine because realistically that puts them more at a disadvantage. It gives you more room to play around to not get hit. There is a lot of splash damage though, so you just gotta be careful. But with the fact that the enemies are up on the ridge, it gives you the opportunity to really just dip back into that corner and fall back into the cave if need be, and you just have to take your time and deal with the ads. And like I said, nothing too complex there. You just take it slow, take your time, and you'll be able to get this knocked out.